All right, and we are live. We are here for the Monday Injury Report. I'm joined, as always, by Dr. Mark Casimiro. What's going on, Mark?
Not much, my man. Happy Monday, everyone. What's going on?
Happy Monday. So I'm going to give everybody a minute or two, to try to, be aware that we're on here and join us and see if they have any questions they can ask us. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube right now. So if you want to go to any of our pages at Performance PTRI, you can go there and you can ask Dr. Mark some questions about any players you might have on your fantasy squad or your favorite team that you want to know how long they're going to be out for. I know I have a few questions for you, Mark.
What's up?
So yeah, we can.
Good big market tease right there, Nick. Very good big market tease.
Well, I gotta let the people get engaged, get involved, and answer their questions. We got to give the people what they want. Mark, we got Thanksgiving coming up next week.
Yes.
So let's start with this while we're waiting for some people to join.
I don't know, Nick. I don't know if you can tell, but I really like food a lot. I like food a lot.
Mark private messaged me on the side. He goes, "What's the best Thanksgiving food?" So, Mark, let's go. Let's go quick. What is your?
First of all, I would say like everything, but like I really enjoy the stuffing. That's like stuffing and then mashed potatoes. I would say those two things combined. I'm a big fan of.
All right.
What about yours?
You know what? I'm a big green bean casserole guy.
Really?
Yeah.
I almost said like anything but green bean casserole. I've never met someone who likes that.
I love it. It's like one of my favorite sides. It comes with my favorite side. So I see some people are joining us. I see Sarah's out there. She just asked a question that popped in. She said, "Do you think Christian McCaffrey will be out again this week?"
Ooh.
Mark.
Coming out smoking there, Sarah. Oof. Right off the bat. Christian McCaffrey. I like it.
So we know we have some people here. So let's start with that one. Mark. Christian McCaffrey, he missed this past week. Adam Schefter's leaning that he could possibly be out this week. So I'm going to actually take it one further. I think I trust Adam Schefter, and I think that he probably will miss this week. Do you think he will be out even beyond this week?
Yes, I do. I think he's going to probably be out like another 2 or 3 weeks, and then they're going to need to make a decision. It's like this guy's he's had a rough year with the other injury. He just got back off the injured reserve list and then got injured again. So I think he would be ready to go in 2 weeks' time. So next week and then the week after. I think if they were looking for a playoff spot, then he'd be able to play. They just have to do some pain injections and stuff like that. But I think we're going to talk about their quarterback, I think, along the way somewhere this episode. So I think that kind of changes things for them. They might be in a position like week 14, 15, where they have their star running back who's ready to go, but maybe he's not 100%. And then maybe you make the decision, like, we're just going to shut it down the rest of the year. We're not going to go to the playoffs this year. We're already down our starting quarterback. We don't want to put the workload on Christian McCaffrey. We want him ready to go week 1, 2021. So I do think he's going to be out multiple weeks. And then it just depends on where they are with injuries and where the Carolina Panthers are with their, strength of schedule and then their record when he's ready to come back, whether he plays or not. Does that make sense?
That does. I mean, I do think that, if the season still means anything, it means a lot more than, if the season's over. So, I mean, yeah. I think you'll see that with some Patriots players too. I think, Stephon Gilmore, Julian Edelman, some of these guys, I think, if the season was a loss, they might take the rest of the season off, heal up, and maybe see what the offseason has in store for them. But now that Pats have won a couple in a row, big win against the Ravens last night, which now, they're slowly moving up into contention. Their record is not what we normally expect from the Patriots, but 4-5, there possibly could be even an extra playoff team this year because of some COVID protocol they might put in for the playoffs. So there's a chance they could sneak their way in. And I think, that injuries and when somebody will come back, it does matter how the team is doing.
I think too, with that injury, all it takes is for a defensive lineman or a linebacker to kind of fall on him awkwardly, and Christian McCaffrey, if he falls on that shoulder again while he's holding the football, then you're looking at another re-injury and aggravation, and now you're looking at possible surgery, or maybe if it's worse, more time off. So I think that comes into play too, where it's like, maybe he's 75% in 2 weeks and he could play, but what's the point? Let's just get him 100% ready to go for next year, because obviously he is pretty much their entire team. So
for sure. So let's talk about another part of their team. Quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. They were saying that this was just going to be, no pun intended, a bridge year at quarterback for Carolina, and then maybe they would do something in the draft. But Teddy Bridgewater has looked very efficient. He's looked pretty good. We know he's coming off of a gruesome leg injury from a few years back with the Vikings. So anytime he gets hurt or goes down, you get a little nervous. But he got an MRI, and they're saying it looks good. If somebody says an MRI looks good, what could that possibly mean? I'm assuming that means no structural damage.
Yeah, I think more important, so you're on the right track. I would also say if it's an MRI of the knee and they get good news, and that means that the ACL is intact. There's no thought that the ACL is torn, because you can tear your MCL, you can tear your lateral collateral ligament, which is on the outside of the knee. You can even tear your PCL, which is the ligament opposite of the ACL, your posterior cruciate ligament. And with those injuries, you could probably, not need surgery, maybe possibly depending on the time of year, the age of the player, what position they play. With those other injuries, you probably come back at some point during the year. Or we know if you have a torn ACL in football, you're done for the year. So I think good news right away is there's no structural damage to the ACL. I think that the report that I saw was an MCL. I can't remember if it's an MCL sprain or MCL tear. That's kind of, same thing. A grade 1, sprain of your MCL is a grade 1 tear of your MCL. A grade 2 sprain of your MCL is a grade 2 tear, right? So those terms are very synonymous, I think is the word I'm looking for, that you can kind of interchange those a lot. So that's good news. And just an MCL injury, that's going to be anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks, depending on extent, depending on, again, where they are in the season, depending on how he feels mobility-wise. I can tell you that it's his opposite knee, the one that he had that really significant injury for a couple of years ago. It's the other knee. If it was the same knee, they probably would err a little bit more on the cautious side, knowing the history that he had on that knee injury. Was a pretty significant knee injury, and he also had some nerve damage, I believe, back then. So they would probably take a little bit more cautious. But this knee being the opposite knee, never having an injury to that knee as far as we know, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 weeks, get him back in with a brace, maybe some pain injections to help dull the pain a little bit. I think the only thing with him coming back is maybe he's not as mobile, maybe he's not as comfortable making plays with his feet. I think that's something you have to look for. But good news is there's a good chance he's able to play again this year.
That's good. And, when we were putting together this injury report, I didn't realize every single player we're going to talk about today is from the NFC South. Saints, Falcons, Panthers. Just
the way it goes sometimes, Nick,
you can't control these things. But I see we got a good amount of people following us. Just a reminder out there, if you're watching live, say hi in the comments or send us a question. Let us know that you're out there watching. We've already had one. I got another one coming in. All right, so let's stay in the position of quarterback. Let's stay on another quarterback. This one probably means a little bit more. Hall of Fame quarterback. His team is, they're vying for a first round bye. They have control of the division after beating, the Buccaneers twice. And he didn't play for the whole second half yesterday, and they didn't need him. They ended up winning the game pretty handedly, and that's quarterback Drew Brees. He has a rib contusion, and they're saying that, he could miss some time with this. And, they do have Jameis Winston as a backup, who is a great fantasy quarterback because he flings the ball all over the field. But if you're the Saints, you can't be as confident with him back there when you're trying to pull out a W. So what are your thoughts on a rib contusion for an older, aging quarterback? And, how much time do you think he could possibly miss with this?
Yeah, so my initial gut instinct, I think he'll play on Sunday. I don't know if he'll be able to finish the game, and you don't know how effective that quarterbacks are going to be. The biggest thing with rib injuries, first of all, they're painful. It's hard to breathe with a rib injury. That hurts. Like if anyone's ever had a rib injury or a rib fracture, Nick, I believe you've had a rib injury and a rib fracture in your history. You can tell everyone it's not the most fun thing. Everything you do kind of hurts. There's no position of comfort. There's nothing you can do that's going to make you more comfortable. And then you're trying to play football where it's a rotation. As a quarterback, you have to rotate and throw with your right side every time you're doing that, you're straining that joint that those ribs create with the sternum and with the spine. So it can be a very painful injury. He'll definitely have some more padding. He'll have one of those like flat jackets on. So you will see him have a little bit more bulkiness under his jersey, probably as a form of protection. But you're really worried about another hit, blindside guy coming after him. Maybe doesn't see a rusher coming after him. He's exposed with his arm up, ready to go make a throw, and then someone comes right there and hits him right there. And kind of now you're looking at a exacerbation of the injury. You're looking at a rib fracture, and that obviously is a lot more painful and a lot more difficult to play football for. Not necessarily that he'll come out if he fractures a rib. I don't know if everyone remembers Steve McNair playing a long time with some rib fractures in the playoffs. So I do think he'll play. I just wonder how effective he's going to be. And then to answer the second part of your question, Nick, this is going to be an injury that he's going to have to deal with the rest of the year now. I think maybe if we get into the playoffs, so if we fast forward into the playoffs in January, maybe at that point, 2 months down the line, he's feeling better. But at least for the rest of the regular season, unless they have some type of magic ointment or magic pill that they're going to give him that lets his body heal faster than a mere mortal like the rest of us, he's going to have to deal with this pain and this injury for the rest of the regular season.
Well, I do feel like sometimes in the NFL they have some sort of magic something that these guys can take here and there. But I know that I just had a bruised rib like last year playing like pickup basketball, and I was like weeks. I was feeling it. It was bad. All right, I'm going to give a shout out to one of my buddies, Dennis Lage. He sent me a question on, and I see he gave us the thumbs up on Facebook, so he is watching. He wanted to know, will Calvin Ridley be back this week, and will he be 100%? He got injured back on Thursday Night Football on the 29th. He sat out one game, and they just had a bye this past weekend. So he really had like little, he's going to have more than 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
So do you think that he will be back this weekend, and you think he'll be 100%?
Let me go the easier question first. He definitely won't be 100% with that injury. He didn't have like an ankle sprain. It was more like a midfoot sprain. So if you're wondering where the midfoot is, it's like balls of the feet, like kind of like right smack dab in the middle of the feet. Those are ligaments there that are there to connect the bones and protect everything. You can sprain that just like you sprain everything else. So I think Cam Newton had this type of injury. Julian Edelman had this kind of injury as well in the past. So those types of injuries, they last a very long time. The most difficult thing for the wide receivers is coming in and out of their breaks. So like running a slant pattern, running a crossing pattern where, they have to come out of their breaks very forcefully, and then stopping and accelerating again is very difficult to do. So I think that he'll play, but I don't know how effective he's going to be. But at this stage in the fantasy weeks, if you have him, you might as well make a run with him and see how you do with him. I don't know if you have any other options on the bench, but I do think he'll play. I just wonder how effective he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, when he's out there, he's been unbelievable. He's been giving Julio a run for his money. I think they have the same amount of catches on the year. So those are all the players I have for you today, Mark. One more thing I will bring up, because some people might be looking at me funny on here, but this month we are dressing down for Movember. So I got a little stash coming in. I'm letting it go a little longer than the beard.
Nice.
And that's for men's health, prostate cancer, depression, suicide awareness, and other conditions that men deal with. And as a company, we are dressing down on Fridays, and some people working at the company are, growing out their mustache or wearing fake mustaches on Fridays. So check out that charity. It's a good charity, and donate if you can. Remember, we're going to be going live on Mondays. So if you have questions, make sure to, if you can't join us live, you can comment in on the post that is here right now, and then Dr. Mark and I can get to it next week. If you do plan on joining live, you could be featured on the bottom over here. You could pop up and have your name and the question you're asking, and then Dr. Mark and I can answer it and hopefully help you with some decisions as we come down the stretch of this fantasy season and get you ready for the playoffs. All right, Mark. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me. Everyone have a good day.
Everybody out there, thanks for joining us, and have a happy, healthy, safe week. Peace, everybody.